Aaron, to you first. Trump said this about getting the hostages out today. Watch.
What does that mean in your eyes? Is that military action? Would you join strikes with Israel?
Well, you're going to find out. We have 59 left, of which 24 are living. The rest are dead. And I put out a statement. It's sort of self-explanatory, I think. But somebody's going to have to get a lot rougher than they're getting. It's a shame.
The question was, any chance the U.S. joins in these strikes, Aaron? What do you think about that? I mean, he didn't really answer, but he said they need to get tougher. What's the answer?
So I don't know what the Americans can do to Gaza and to Hamas that Israel hasn't already done. So the question now becomes, how do you eradicate Hamas? How do you get the hostages out? And here's where I'm at with that. I think it's time to have an honest conversation about how to kill Hamas for good. And the only way to get to Hamas without hitting these civilians who've effectively become part of the hostage siege, Trace, is to completely move the Gazans and force an evacuation into the southern peninsula of the Sinai, and move them out completely and spread them out amongst the Arab countries and have them support it and make sure that there's no Hamas within those ranks. At that point, once they're all out, then you can start to de-radicalize. And I've talked about this with you before, but really got to move the civilians out. Then it's time to destroy Gaza once and for all. That's where I'm at. Hamas will never release all of the hostages. They survive on leverage and on making the world beg. The second they lose that, they're finished. This is a terror group, not a corporation. And I laid this all out last night with my friend Trace Gallagher on Fox News, and I wanted to dive into it even deeper. And on this one, I'm going to be breaking it down step by step, because the only way to truly eradicate Hamas is to erase the ground that they operate on. And that starts with removing every last civilian from Gaza and relocating them. Here's the truth that nobody wanted to admit. Hamas thrived because they hid behind civilians, using them as human shields, built the tunnels under the hospitals. You know the stories. Stored weapons in mosques, fired rockets from schools, and every time Israel fought back, even with the highest degree of selectivity, the world cried about humanitarian casualties that had to end, even though this is the lowest casualty rate in the history of urban warfare. The only way to remove Hamas permanently, step one, it's time to force evacuation of Gaza. Every civilian needs to be moved to safe zones in Egypt, parts of Jordan, and other Arab countries. Gone. It's time to move them. Every single person needs to be identified, scanned, separated. Hamas operatives arrested on the spot or neutralized. And if you stay in Gaza, you're Hamas, period. Next, I want to talk about the bigger picture. The only way to prevent another generation of Hamas is to break the cycle of radicalization. I said this back in October of 2023. Some people looked at me like I was crazy. And this means no more Hamas-run education, no more terror propaganda, no more glorification of suicide bombers. This isn't just about moving people. It's about ensuring they do not become Hamas 2.0. Gazans need to be resettled across the region. Saudi Arabia, UAE, parts of Jordan, and most of all, Egypt, who's never taken responsibility. Schools need to be restructured, the ideology wiped out, and every single person needs to be monitored. And if you show any signs of extremism, you're expelled or interned. Plain and simple. This episode of the Aaron Cohen Show is brought to you by Merkava Coffee. This is the official coffee of the Aaron Cohen Show. When I served in the IDF, coffee wasn't just coffee, it was fuel. And in the special operations world, there were nights with no sleep, missions that stretched for days, and no room for mistakes. Coffee was serious, and it kept us sharp, locked in, and ready to move. And let me tell you something, I still take it seriously. And that's why Merkava Coffee, strong, no nonsense, battle tested, no fluff, no gimmicks, just good, bold coffee for the people who need to be at their best. And if you start your day like I do, like it's a mission, you know why this matters. Hit the link down in the description and grab yourself a triple order and help keep the lights on and support the Aaron Cohen Show. Appreciate you guys. So this isn't a humanitarian effort. This is about survival and giving the Gazan people the option to be able to live peacefully. Now, I want to talk about Egypt because here's the reality. None of this works unless Egypt and el-Sisi step up, and they've kept the doors closed for a year and a half and watched the Gazans burn themselves down. And Gaza used to be Egypt from 48 to 67. It was Egypt. And then after the 6-Day War, Egypt lost control of Gaza to Israel, and they never wanted it back. Instead, they let it rot. They let Hamas fester like the rats that they are and played both sides of the conflict for 30 years. And the Hamas tunnels, they ran straight under the Egypt border. The weapons smuggling, it all flowed through Egypt. And the Egyptian government profited off every last shipment. And for too long, Egypt got to act like some neutral party while secretly feeding the terrorist machine. And that's why it's time for Trump to put some real pressure on el-Sisi. Make the message clear. Take responsibility. Take your people. More than half of Gazans went to Egypt. The rest to Jordan, Saudi Arabia, the UAE. No more excuses. No more corruption. This Arab world is so dirty. No more playing both sides, pretending to be neutral. Egypt needs to be held accountable, and Trump needs to put the hammer down on them. They take billions from the United States. And then there's the final piece. And here's where the gloves come off. Gaza needs to be hit harder. Gaza doesn't just need to be hit harder, it needs to be erased. Because Hamas isn't just some terror group hiding in Gaza. Hamas is Gaza. And if it's allowed to continue to exist, it will come back every single time. So now I'm talking about the total military obliteration. Full-scale carpet bombings, flatten whatever's left. Thermobaric seismic strikes, collapse the tunnels permanently. Drone swarms tracked and eliminating every single remaining Hamas fighter who hasn't been evacuated. And then permanent military control. Gaza needs to be turned into a buffer zone. Zero population, no settlements, security-controlled wasteland until it can be rebuilt by the international community. Surveillance to ensure Hamas doesn't return. Special operations conducting final raids to eliminate any remnants of the insurgency. No second chances. Only rebuild once all terrorists are wiped out from Gaza. So, Aaron, what comes next? Here's where I'm at. This was the bottom line for me. And that's what I talked about last night on Trace. Gaza isn't a place. It's a terrorist factory. And the only way to stop terrorism coming from Gaza is to erase it completely. And if you don't have the stomach for that, then you're not serious about fighting terrorism. And if you don't take what I'm saying seriously, Hamas rebuilds. And they come back even stronger and they take their time like little cockroaches. Another October 7th. That's what we're going to see again. More civilians getting slaughtered. More hostages. But if the world follows this plan and Gaza is erased, Hamas is dead forever. The world wins. And one of the most brutal terror networks gets wiped off the planet. This isn't a ceasefire. This isn't another deal. This is how you end Hamas forever. I want to thank you guys for watching this one. Do me a favor. Like, share, subscribe, share the episode. It's time to continue to spread the correct information. You're not going to hear this on CNN. You're not going to hear this on MSNBC. You're not going to hear this on all the far left, liberal, deep state media outlets. This is the truth. This is how you have to deal with this. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Do you agree with me? Do you think it's time to evacuate the Gazans and move them into the southern peninsula of Egypt to re-educate them, de-radicalize them, and give them a chance at life? You think it's time for the Middle East to start taking responsibility for the Palestinians and stop using them as pawns for Jew hatred, for anti-Semitism? How's that worked out for you guys in the Middle East? You get thumped every time. It's time to start looking at Saudi Arabia. They're the model for moderate Islam and an incredible development of a westernized Arab country that has vision and wants to contribute to the world, not just jihad. Saudi Arabia, we salute you here at the Aaron Cohen Show. You're doing it the right way. I want to thank you guys for watching this one. Do me a favor. If you guys are a fan of the show, hit the link down in the description and grab yourself a 3-pack of Merkava coffee, the official coffee of the Aaron Cohen Show. Helps keep the lights on in the studio. Every bag sold helps support the show and allows me to continue to combat that garbage, anti-Israel misinformation and propaganda that's out there. Hit the link down in the description. Grab yourself a 3-pack of Merkava coffee. Merkava, Israel's indigenous, incredible advanced battle tank. If you guys want to move like a battle tank in the morning, grab yourself some Merkava coffee. You're going to love this stuff. It's going to turn the lights on. It's going to get you focused and mission-oriented, which is what coffee is about. And that's why we take it so seriously in the IDF. You got to have that coffee. No mission before coffee. Fact. Uvda, like we say in Hebrew. Appreciate you guys watching this one. Going to come back to this. It's not going away. And as more of this develops, I'm going to bring it back. I'm Aaron Cohen. You're watching the Aaron Cohen Show, and I'll catch you guys soon on the next one.